You've heard of Horace, North Dakota, the fastest growing city in the whole entire state. But do you really want to live there? In this video, I'm breaking down all the pros and cons of living in Horace, North Dakota, so you know what life is truly like to live down in the fastest growing city in the whole entire state. Now, if you haven't heard of Horace, North Dakota is a small city, current population around 6,000 people, but continuing to grow. It's located south of West Fargo, right next to this Fargo-Moorhead metro. The Fargo-Moorhead metro has around 250,000 people, and Horace has a population around 6,000. Now, Horace is growing a ton and growing rapidly. 5 years ago now in 2020, Horace had a population around 3,000 people. Now the population is 6,000, almost 7,000 people. So that's showing you how fast Horace is growing, and it's continuing to grow. And with that, there's a lot of new construction homes popping up down in Horace. Now, Horace is a really desirable place to live because, just getting into our first pro, it's rural living. There's people with big lots down in Horace, river lots. You have more acreage. You have more area to be outside, outdoor activities. And the houses, they're bigger down in Horace. That's what people love about living in Horace. The houses are bigger, the lots are bigger, the yards are bigger, things like that. People love that about living in Horace because it's rural living, yet it's right next to Fargo-Moorhead. It's 15-20 minutes to a drive into Fargo-Moorhead, depending on where you want to go. Now, being that close to Fargo-Moorhead is obviously a great pro. It's kind of pros of both worlds because pro, you're close to all the amenities in Fargo-Moorhead, and pro, you have that rural living that is so desirable that people love, that rural community living. And the bigger areas, go four-wheeling, snowmobiling, all those sort of toys to have outdoors, hunting, fishing, all those sort of things. People love doing those things down in Horace because you're rural, but you're close to Fargo-Moorhead anyways. Now that will go into our first con about living in Horace, which is there's not really that many amenities in Horace right now. I obviously see a lot more amenities going to be popping up in Horace soon. They just built a new Circle K gas station, but there's no Walmart in Horace. There's no major grocery store in Horace. There's no Target in Horace. There's no mall in Horace. So you will have to drive the 15-20 minutes into Fargo-Moorhead to go to that mall, to go to a grocery store, whatever it is. But you still get to live in a rural area close to a big metro like that, where it's just a short drive away to all those amenities. And the thing is, the population of Horace is going to continue to grow. So there is going to be more amenities popping up. There is going to be more, jobs or stores or that sort of thing popping up in Horace. Now, that's the thing about Horace. There's a very great job market for the people who live in Horace. There's a very, very low unemployment rate and a very, very high median income. Now, another reason for this is the houses in Horace are just more expensive. The average price of a house in Horace is around $450,000, $460,000. When you compare that to the Fargo average price of a home, which is around $360,000, $350,000. Then even compare that to the Moorhead price of a home, which is around $270,000, $280,000. So Horace is kind of more the luxury market when you compare it to Fargo and compare it to Moorhead. But obviously, reason for that being the bigger houses on the bigger lots with the bigger lawns, the bigger yard, that sort of thing. Bigger garage stalls. A lot of houses in Horace have shops separate from the house. You're not going to find that in Fargo, and you're not going to find that in Moorhead. So that's what makes Horace so desirable, because people love to have those and love to have all those activities that come with that. But of course, with that, it's going to be more expensive. So that's why the prices in Horace are a little bit more expensive. And of course, being new construction stuff's more expensive too. Keep that in mind that the houses in Horace are more expensive than they are here in Fargo. But also, with that, of course, it goes hand in hand. The median income is higher in Horace because the houses are more expensive in Horace. Then also, unemployment rate is lower in Horace too. Now, make sure you stay tuned till the end of this video, where I give the number one con about living in Horace that no one thinks to look at before moving here to Horace, North Dakota. So make sure you stay tuned till the end. Now, another pro about living in Horace, there's not as much traffic as in Fargo. You drive in Fargo on University at 7:30 in the morning, it's going to take you a long time to get to where you're going. But if you're driving from Horace, maybe you take the street and go to the interstate from Horace, or maybe you take Cheyenne Street, there's not going to be as much traffic. Of course, there's still going to be traffic. There's always going to be traffic. But you're commuting against, 6,000 other people who live in Horace compared to the 250,000 people that live in the Fargo-Moorhead metro to get where you're going. So there's going to be less traffic. It's just kind of a quieter area for the reason that there's not as many people that live there. Now, it's a give and take again, because you give up the fact that there's not as much traffic, not as much people, not as much things going on, and the nightlife in Horace is not that great, especially compared to Fargo. So there is not really any nightlife in Horace, North Dakota. You're gonna have to travel to downtown Fargo to downtown Moorhead for that nightlife. But again, that's the good thing about living in Horace. You're right there. You drive up to I-29, I-94, you take the interstate, and you go and you just go off to Main Avenue and you're right there in downtown Fargo. So it's really accessible to Fargo, to Moorhead, to all that Fargo-Moorhead has to offer, yet you don't have to live in the big metro and you live in a rural area. So that's why so many people are moving to Horace and so many people love living in Horace. It's rural living, yet you're close to Fargo-Moorhead and all the amenities Fargo-Moorhead has. But that is a con about living in Horace, that there is limited nightlife in Horace specifically, but you're close to Fargo for that great nightlife Fargo has. Now another pro about living in Horace is the schools. Horace High School is brand new. It just had its first graduating class either last year or 2 years ago. Then the elementary school is brand new. So of course, with growing population, growing schools, they built new schools. So Horace is a brand new school. It looks great. I've been in there a couple times. Elementary school is good too. And the facilities are great. You know, kids, they love to be in sports. The football field is great. Basketball court, volleyball, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's great down in Horace because it's brand new. And the thing is, the sports in Horace, they're good too. Their football team just won state last year. So that is what people love to do in this Midwest region. If you didn't know that, the kids, they love to play sports in high school. That seems to be a thing that a lot of people are passionate about here in Fargo. Now, if you're considering making a move to Horace, North Dakota, make sure you reach out to someone like me. I'm Zach Sikora. I'm an agent on the Living in Fargo-Moorhead team. We have countless people reaching out to us because they're moving to, from, in, or around this Fargo-Moorhead region. We're here to help make this move smooth, efficient, and stress-free for you. So make sure you reach out to the number on the screen or shoot us an email. And make sure you stay tuned until the end of this video where I give the #1 con about living in Horace, North Dakota that nobody talks about. Another con about living in Horace, they still have winter down in Horace. Maybe you saw my video on breaking down the pros and cons of living in Fargo, North Dakota. One of the cons was winter. Horace, North Dakota, it still has winter. It's in North Dakota. The temperature variance is, you know, 3rd ranked state in the whole entire nation for temperature variance. And even we're seeing an example of that right now. We're kind of in a heat wave right now. Today, as this video is being filmed, it was 47 degrees out. But then go back 2 weeks here in Fargo, it was negative 20 degrees out. So that's like 60, 70 temperature variance in 3 weeks. So that's just something you need to know about living in Fargo, living in Horace. It doesn't matter where you live in the Midwest and in North Dakota, you're gonna have winter, and that's something you're gonna need to deal with. You're still gonna have to shovel the driveway, clean off the car in the morning, warm it up. There's just things like that with winter that you always need to consider when moving or living in this Fargo-Moorhead region. There's a lot of snowbirds here in Fargo and in Horace too. So people will go down south for the winter because they don't like the cold. They'll go down to Arizona, Texas, Florida, wherever it is. Then they'll come back for the summers. Now there's a reason people keep coming back to Horace and they keep coming back to Fargo. It's because they love the Midwest community feel, and this is where all their family is. So people love living in this area so much that even though the cold does suck, no one likes in the negative 40 degrees wind chill, but they still keep coming back here and they still love living here because that's where all their family and that's where all their friends are. And the community here is great. It's not just your family and your friends, it's your neighbors. It's your neighbors who have your back and you have your neighbors' back. It's just a great Midwest community where everybody knows each other and it's Midwest nice. That's what it is. Everybody's nice to you. That's the great thing about living here in Horace, North Dakota, and the whole entire state of North Dakota as a whole. Now, thanks for staying tuned until the end of this video, where I'm giving my #1 con about living in Horace, North Dakota, and that is the special assessment taxes. Now, if you don't know what specials are extra taxes that are put on your house, separate from property taxes, so they're paid on top of your normal property taxes for improvements on or around your property. So for example, let's say maybe a new community is being built down in Horace. They obviously need to put sidewalks in, they need to put roads in, sewer lines, that sort of thing. The city will levy specials on those properties in that area to be paid by the homeowners. So the way this works, you know, let's say the specials are maybe $20,000, $30,000 for each homeowner spread out to 40 to 60 homes in an area for a new sidewalk or a new sewer line. So all these homeowners are going to have these specials on their house to help pay for those taxes. Now these specials, the 30, 40,000, it's not all gonna be paid in 1 year. It's gonna be paid over a span of 20, 30 years in installments every year. You need to consider this because this is getting paid on top of your normal taxes. Now, depending on where you're at, specials can maybe only increase your monthly payment from $0 if there's no specials on houses, all the way up to $400, $500. Now, those are the houses you need to be careful for because that influences a monthly payment by a lot. $400, $500, the price of the house can be deceiving sometimes because the house might be $300,000, but if you look at the specials that are super, super high, some houses in Horace can have specials of over $100,000. That is going to increase your monthly payment by $400 and $500. So it's pretty much like that house is $400,000 based on your monthly payment. So that's why you need to be really careful when looking in Horace. Make sure you have someone knowledgeable on your side who knows the specials to know the areas who have high specials, low specials. Obviously, the specials in Horace are going to be higher because all the Horace is brand new. They're building all that new construction in all those new communities. Now, compared to, North Fargo, where it's historic neighborhoods where they've been there for 100, 200 years, there's hardly any specials on those neighborhoods because they've been there so long and they already have everything right there. But now these communities down in Horace, they don't have sidewalks. They don't have streets, sewer lines. So those all need to be put in, and the specials are put on those properties in that area. Now, Horace, the specials, they can range a lot. There's some houses in Horace that have no specials because the owners paid them off, or they're in an area where it's been there for a long time in certain parts of Horace. But a lot of houses in Horace, they do have specials. And a lot of them have a lot of specials. Specials can range from, again, like I said, $0, depending on where you're at, all the way up to over $100,000. So that's why you need to be careful about looking in Horace to make sure the specials, make sure they're tied to your monthly payment and you know that and they're reasonable. Now, some new construction companies, they'll offer to buy down specials, lower for you if you obviously build with that company, or if you move in a certain area. Some sellers will offer to pay down specials as an incentive for someone to buy the home. There's a lot of different options, but you just need to know that is a main con that no one really talks about living in Horace. The super high specials and the super high taxes with that. Now, like I said before, these taxes can increase your monthly payment to make a house seem more expensive than it actually was. When you're planning your budget, pre-approval, all that sort of thing of what monthly payment you want to be at, but then you have to add $400 or $500 in specials on top of that. So that's why you need to be really careful when moving to Horace, to make sure you have someone who knows the specials and knows the market in Horace to make sure you're properly represented. Now, to make sure you get properly represented, if you're looking to move to Horace, make sure you reach out to someone from the Living in Fargo-Moorhead team, like myself, by calling the number on the screen or shooting us an email.